all you folks that are here that are not from New Orleans, where are you? Raise your hand. I'm really sorry. It's great to see all of you. Thank you so much for being here. I want to welcome Tom Carper, the Amtrak Board of Directors, our Congressman Cedric Richmond, who's a great partner for the city of New Orleans and one of our great leaders. Good morning. The United States Representative Corinne Brown from Florida, Sunshine State. Sarah Feinberg, who is the administrator of the Federal Railroad Administration, which is just really the tip of a tremendous experience in federal government. So it's great to see you. Thank you for being here. John Spain of the Southern Railway Rail Commission, who is a great business leader in the state of Louisiana. John, thank you. And of course, Secretary Sean Wilson, who's the Secretary of the Department of Transportation and Development. Natalie Robat, who's our parish president from our neighboring parish, and a great friend, Andy Copeland, Deputy Mayor and CAO Secretary Grant, Justin Augustine, and runs the other transit system in the city of New Orleans, Viola, and the RTA. I want to welcome all of you to this spectacular place, the Union Passenger Terminal. Just the physical structure of this place speaks volumes about the history of New Orleans and our commitment to rail, to transportation, and to hubs that really spans the ages. The building is just a beautiful building, and it continues to be a place that is used by the community in so many different ways and in so many different efforts. When Katrina hit, this was the portal point for people moving in and out of the city. And for every major storm, this particular facility gets transformed into an emergency ops center that moves people from where they are in harm's way to where they need to be out of harm's way. And so I want to thank all the men and women that actually work in this building that do such a great job. We're also joined by Councilmember Jared Brissett, who is the head of the Transportation Committee. And I really want to just thank all the people from Amtrak for being here today. Amtrak has been a very significant part of the New Orleans family for a long time. You know, the Northeast is a little bit more used to rail, running up and down that corridor. And for those of you that spend a lot of time up there, you know how incredibly wonderful it is to be able to jump on rail from Washington all the way through, up the line, all the way to the top of the country. We have been toying with that notion for a long time in America, and I know that President Obama wanted to try to jumpstart that some years ago. I know they're trying to build high-speed rail in California. We were offered a significant amount of money in Louisiana, but the powers that be that time must have gone to sleep that night and decided that it wasn't a good idea. And so that funding was lost from us. But it is not lost on the leaders of today how important rail is and how important investing in our infrastructure is. You may or may not know that we're building a brand new airport in the city of New Orleans, and the Federal Transportation Administration, on behalf of President Obama, has been a great partner in that regard, because air travel is critically important as we go forward. That airport's going to be built by 2018. Yesterday, Vice President Biden was here with us talking about the Reinvestment Act and the amount of money that President Obama and his administration spent on investing in infrastructure, but we were at the Port of New Orleans and explaining to people how important it was to make sure that the water and the ships on that water that bring into and out of the United States of America products that we make here, that we can export, and things that we need to import are really important. Containerization, and the fact that investment in infrastructure, in water and boats, means jobs, just like investments in aviation means jobs. And it is equally true that when you make investments in rail and you're able to move people quickly and safely from one part of the country to another, you make America strong again. You create jobs, you create economic development, you create the kind of mobility that a 21st century knowledge-based economy requires. And of course, Amtrak has been at the forefront of that effort. And now, y'all know I talked to the Vice President yesterday about Amtrak. And you know what he said. He said, I love them. Let them have it. Now, y'all won't appreciate that, but there's a commercial on TV here where everybody's trying to get something they need, and there's a character on it. All he says is, let them have it. Because it's important, and he knows, because he rides all the time. And he understands better than anybody the importance of rail to the United States of America. So we're thrilled You know, we have a number of different connections here. The city of New Orleans goes to Chicago, the Crescent to New York City, the Sunset Limited to Los Angeles. I want y'all to think about the name, the Sunset Limited. The sun never sets in New Orleans. This is a 24/7 town. Now don't tell that to people when y'all go back home, right? But it's a 24/7 town. And this town has, in the last 5 years, become the nation's most immediate laboratory for innovation and change. It is one of the greatest comeback stories that this country has ever seen. We were on our backs. We lost 1,800 people. Every building in the city was underwater. And in partnership with all of our regional partners, Natalie suffered this a couple of years later, the people of New Orleans stood themselves back up. And through sheer resilience, I think, helped the rest of America see what it looks like when you're on your back and what it looks like to stand back up again. And we did it in partnership with our federal partners, our state partners, our local partners, our not-for-profit community, our faith-based community, everybody in, taking responsibility so that everybody can have opportunity. And none of that works unless it all works. In other words, you've got to have housing, you've got to have education, you've got to have health care, you've got to have a government that's honest, that's effective, that's transparent, that works, and know how to take resources and put it in the ground so things can come out of it and people can use it. And it can't be done without transportation, which is the thing that moves people to and from where they need to go. And the final piece of what I want to tell you this morning is its ability to leverage private sector investment, because it is the public-private partnership that works. And Exhibit A is right outside of that door. We got a tiger grant to extend the streetcar line, which I know y'all know is beautiful, from where it was to here and all the way down, and we're doing more of it. That was a $65 million investment, and it went from there down about a mile. As a result of that $65 million investment, when it was announced that it was going to be made, and from that moment until the time that it was open, there was $2 billion of private investment that came in and around the corridor that rail was on. It linked together people that were coming in town to the private sector, where all the businesses are, to the government sector, where the municipal complex was, to down the street to the French Quarter, where the tourists go, immediately adjacent to the new innovative low-income housing that we have, and it tied the entire community together. So investments in rail produce jobs, jobs produce wealth, wealth produces an economy that grows, and then the world gets better. It gets faster, it gets quicker, it gets easier, it gets safer, it gets more environmentally sound, and that is why what we're doing today is so critically important. So I want to thank all of you for being here. I know it's the first leg of a safety route so that we can figure out that everything is going to be good, but at the end of the day, what we're really here to do is to try to encourage Congress to put their money where their mouth is and to invest in infrastructure, rail, air, and water, but today specifically on rail, and Amtrak is the flagship of that request. So God bless you all. Thank you so much. And please help me welcome Tom Carper from Amtrak.
It's a pleasure and an honor to be here today with everyone on the stage. We'll get a chance to spend some time with all of you on the train. It's a pleasure, particularly, especially our friends from the Southern Rail Commission. The trip we're about to take would not have happened without the Commission's hard work, and hard work from many of you out there, your work and support. We partnered with the Commission to study the prospects for service. Today's trip is just the next stage in that process of development. There's a vision that's formulated, and Amtrak shares that vision. We have a plan, and now we must all work together, as the mayor said, to identify how we'll make that plan a reality. I'm not here to tell you that it's going to be easy. It's not. It's complicated and it's hard, but I tell you what, I talked to a couple of mayors today, and you have the right team to fulfill this plan. I have no doubt about it. I'm really looking forward to this trip and working with all of you in the coming months to help make this a reality. Local government, the states, the CSX Railroad, our federal partners, and everyone involved, including the Amtrak board. Strong partnerships brought us to this point. And I know a little bit about strong partnerships. I used to be the mayor of an Amtrak community in Illinois. That's where I met somebody that many of you may know, Mayor John Robert Smith from Meridian, Mississippi. We thought we were going to lose our service back in the 90s, and we didn't. In large part because of Mayor Smith's effort. It's relationships and partnerships that make this work, and you have a team here. today assembled, and some people who couldn't be here today that are going to make this happen. So enjoy the journey, revel in this day, and have a great trip. As I said, this is the Chamber of Commerce Day. There's no doubt about it. The sunshine. This is the first step down a long path. There's something to celebrate here. So on behalf of our President and CEO, Joe Boardman, our Board Chair, Tony Kosha, our Board of Directors, and the 20,000 plus men and women of Amtrak who make the railroad, National Railroad run. 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, Mayor. It's a pleasure. Look forward to talking with everybody a little bit later. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. At this time, we would like to acknowledge Mark Zeldin from Senator Bill Cassidy's office, as well as Paul Sawyer from Representative Garrett Graves' office. Thank you for your support. Now, please welcome United States Representative Cedric Richmond.
One thing I do know is that you all are not here to listen to me this morning. So I will be very quick, and I want to thank everybody for coming, especially Sarah Feinberg, who was giving away money yesterday in Baton Rouge to make sure rail crossings are safer. So thank you for that. But since I have a lot of the local media and our mayor here, let me just take a second to say, in our darkest hour after Katrina and Rita, when the city was in its most vulnerable state, and we lost our VA hospital, in the House of Representatives, they convened a meeting to talk about whether New Orleans should be the home to the VA or should it be in Florida. Congresswoman Corrine Brown, who is from Florida, whose motto has always been that if you're not in the room, you're on the menu. It just so happened we weren't on the menu about moving our VA, but the good thing for us is that she was in the room. And after many offers to entice her to change her mind about being steadfast about reopening the VA in New Orleans, she never wavered, she never changed her mind, and there was nothing that she could offer. And because of that, we have that beautiful VA facility downtown. So I just want to publicly thank Corinne Brown for that. And then to my senator, who didn't know he was my senator, from Mississippi, Senator Wicker. My father, grandfather, and we have funeral homes, and the hard work in Mississippi is what led me to go to law school, because I just didn't want to stay home and be a mortician. So thank you for pushing me to the greatest city ever, and that's New Orleans. And to our friends at Amtrak and to everybody, I said, well, thank you for your dedication to this project and the hard work that it will take to make it come to reality, and believing in this great city. And the entire Gulf Coast. People who live on the Gulf Coast, we know the importance that, how important we are to the United States of America. But the fact that you all are here continuing to invest in trying to jumpstart and reclaim territory that we had before is very, very important to us. And I won't go into, because I think the mayor did a great job, the economic impact of it and the ability to attract 2 million more visitors to the city of New Orleans, or to create a super region up and down the river in New Orleans to Baton Rouge, and how many more employees and how many more jobs. All of those things are important. But I am just excited to be here today because I think that this is a very wonderful day. I remember when I was 6 years old and my mother decided to grab my brother and I and said, you know what, we're going to take an Amtrak train from New Orleans to Gulfport, where we had family. We said, well, why don't we just try? She said, no, I want you to have the experience, a great American experience of riding from New Orleans to Gulfport, so that you can see as we pass our neighborhood in New Orleans East and all of that. And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And now that I get to do it again today, I get to, don't tell her, I get to go home and say, yeah, Mom, I remember it like it was yesterday, and get to tell her about all the things that I'm going to see today. So thank you all for giving me that experience, and thank everybody for being here.
Thank you, Representative Richmond. We would like to acknowledge New Orleans City Council members Jared Brissett and Councilmember James Gray. We would also like to thank some of our regional representatives who traveled to Louisiana from Mississippi. Representative Charles Busby, and Representative Steve Massengale, as well as Mayor Billy Hughes from the City of Gulfport. Now, please welcome Mississippi Senator Roger Wicker.
Thank you very much. That's called the voice of God, and I jumped over the voice of God there. We're going to see if a United States Senator can speak for 2 minutes on an occasion like this. Let me just say, it's great to be here as part of this team. And who's the team? The team is my two colleagues, Cedric Richmond and Corinne Brown, who I've served with for almost 20 years in the United States House and Senate. We've got civic and community and political leaders from all around the Gulf area, and we've got members of the Southern Rail Commission who are working hard on this. There's a sign back there that says connect Gulf states by train. And I tell you what, this team believes we can connect the Gulf states with passenger rail, and we're here today to help make that a reality. Now, one thing the mayor said needs to be reiterated. I'm glad to know that there's going to be a new airport in New Orleans. You know, if you represent the whole state of Mississippi, you land in Memphis a lot of the time, you land in New Orleans a lot of the time. We like our own airports, but I have to land it, so I look forward to this new airport in New Orleans. Of course, the federal taxpayers are going to be involved in that, as the mayor acknowledged. Our statement today is the federal taxpayers ought to be involved in making passenger rail a reality in the Gulf Coast. In terms of passenger participation, if Amtrak were an airline, it would be the 5th biggest airline in the country. So of course, the taxpayers have a role in this. We're all in it together, and yes, thank you for mentioning the ports also. We had a pretty big announcement in Mississippi about our ports the other day. Today, we take a major step in making passenger rail a reality for the Southeast and for the Gulf Coast states. I'm glad to be part of it. Now let's go catch a train. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Wicker. We would also like to acknowledge T.J. Moran, who is joining us from Congressman Stephen Palazzo's office. Now, please welcome Congresswoman Corinne Brown from Florida's 5th District.
And before I begin, are there any veterans in the room? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Let's give them a hand. I want to always thank you for your service, and as the top Democrat in the House of Representatives over Veterans Affairs, when the issue came up about the VA hospital, and I came here several times. In fact, y'all need to know I'm your member at large. It was failure, it just wasn't an option. The veterans needed that hospital rebuilt, and it is such a win-win for the community and for the veterans. Now, this is my second time in this facility. I have met with the mayors, and we've been working on this ever since Katrina. It was just, when Katrina came about, it was a man-made disaster. And for me, restoring this train, whatever you want to call it, is homeland security. We've got to be able to move people out of harm's way. That deserves a hand. When we had Katrina, I saw the buses and they were underwater. I came here more times than any other member that wasn't from this area, meeting with the Army Corps, meeting with the communities, and it is clear that we need to reinstate that train, not just for natural disasters, but man-made disasters. We need to be able to move people, goods, and services. Our competition is already there. And we started the train system, and now we're the caboose, and they don't use cabooses anymore. We've got to be able to move people, goods, and services. I saw a sign back there saying to Jacksonville, that train needs to be from New Orleans to Orlando. tourist destination to tourist destination. So it's an economic engine. And so what happens when failure is not an option? You get it done. If we gonna get it done, I'm getting on this train, Amtrak. I won't be on there for 16 long hours because this train needs to leave here and it needs to go through the Gulf Coast all the way to Jacksonville, but it needs to pass Jacksonville. It needs to go on to Sanford, which is in my district, and all the way to Orlando, Florida. That's my goal, and failure is not an option.
Thank you, Congresswoman Brown. We would also like to thank our representatives from the river parishes, Michelle Octave, CAO from St. James Parish, and St. John Parish Councilman Buddy Bowe, as well as St. John Parish President Natalie Robach. Please welcome Administrator Sarah Feinberg from the Federal Railroad Administration.
Thank you so much. I'll just speak for a minute because it doesn't, as Mayor Landrieu said, I've been in government for a long time and I've been in it long enough to know that I'm not going to try to follow Corinne Brown because she's kicked it off well and I'm not going to try to follow it. One point I want to make is I look around at the people who are up here with me today and who've been involved in this effort. They are Republicans, they are Democrats, they're young, they're old, they've been working on this for a long time, they've been working on this for a little bit of time. They're from every background because they understand something really important, which is that building a strong transportation system isn't a partisan issue. It's an issue of staying competitive, of growing, of creating high-paying jobs and opportunity. And you cannot have a strong transportation system without passenger rail. This is something that we talk about all the time at the Federal Railroad Administration, that Secretary Fox at the Department of Transportation talks about a lot. Over the next 30 years, this country is going to change. And the population of the Gulf Coast will grow by 10 million people. And all of those additional people are going to need to move safely and efficiently. And passenger rail is critical to that. It cannot happen without passenger rail. And so the Federal Railroad Administration is thrilled to be a part of this effort. We worked on it last year, we're working on it this year. We've had staff who's been working on this for years. The first meeting I had with the group after I became the acting administrator at the FRA was with the Southern Rail Commission. So that is how important it is to us. We could not be happier. We could not have better partners working on this with us, and we are just thrilled to be partners with the state and local officials here. And now I will have the great honor to introduce Sean Wilson, your new Louisiana Department of Transportation Secretary. I had the honor of sitting with Sean last night at dinner. He ran like 5 new ideas by me. So y'all are in good hands. He's got some great ideas and he's ready to lead. Thank you.
Please welcome Secretary Sean Wilson from the Louisiana DOTD.
It's good to listen to the voice of God and call your name. I think that's wonderful. So let me just tell you, I'm from New Orleans, and I grew up in Algiers Point on the West Bank. And my grandmother, who grew up in Amite, Louisiana, the home of Governor John Bell Evans, grew up with trains in her backyard. She brought me over here as a 4-year-old for the first time to pick up a sister who came from Los Angeles to visit us. It was my first time coming to the East Bank, and I walked into this building and I was just in awe with the murals, with the work. But I told them last night they had TVs on the chairs, little individual televisions on the chairs. I don't know if you remember that, Mayor. Your dad was probably the mayor about that time, by the way. And it was just a wonderful experience. I stand here today representing Governor Evers to tell you, you not only have a partner in the state of Louisiana, you have a passenger in the state of Louisiana with this effort. We are excited to tell you today that we are going to be filing legislation, probably authored by Walt Leger, that will remove the prohibition from state funds going on this type of initiative of rail. That deserves a round of applause, and it deserves your support when we get to the legislature. I'm also here to tell you that for the first time in a couple of years, years. DOTD, out of my budget, will pay the dues for the state of Louisiana for the Southern Rail Commission. That deserves some applause. And I don't want to put our federal partners on the spot, but I will tell you, if they are kind to us with our rail requests for the freight program, we'll get $100 million to do multimodal transportation. But it will not only allow us to do multimodal transportation, it will allow us to invest state dollars on passenger rail in a big way and set a new precedent for the state of Louisiana. We're excited about working with you. We have proven ourselves. We look forward to it, and let's all get on board. Thank you.
Wilson, please welcome our final speaker, John Spain, from the Southern Rail Commission.
Good morning, everyone. Mayor, thank you for having us and hosting this event and for your continued vision and leadership of this great American city. The Southern Rail Commission was created by an act of Congress some 20 years ago between a compact of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, with each members being appointed by each state's governor. The goal was to promote passenger rail throughout the South Gulf Coast area. We've been working with everyone up here to make this day possible. We thank them for that. It would not have happened without the leadership of Senator Wicker and Congress setting aside specific language in the transportation bill that asked the Federal Railroad Administration to create a study group to look at the solution for how we restore this line. That committee met in this city 2 days ago. They have to report back to Congress on the solution as to why this rail isn't running and recommendations on what should be done within 9 months. I have a feeling we'll beat that deadline because we have a lot of passion about this project. One of the last remaining critical issues following Hurricane Katrina was the loss of rail service east of New Orleans. Those rails were washed out as part of that storm but have long been restored. But the passenger train that ran on those rails has not. And it is time. It is more than 10 years since Hurricane Katrina. The Gulf Coast needs this passenger rail to connect our cities, both in emergencies, to grow the prosperity of the Gulf Coast, to bring our friends from Mississippi and Alabama to a new shining airport in New Orleans. And it's not just about the East Coast rail. We're also looking at rail connecting Baton Rouge and New Orleans, which we think is critical for the growth of the two largest urban areas in our state. And we're pleased that Amtrak has already done the initial work to look at restoring Amtrak service from Meridian to Dallas-Fort Worth through all the major cities of North Louisiana, providing for, ultimately, rail passage from Dallas to Atlanta. So we ask you for your support. We thank you for being here. I can assure you, you're going to have a good time if you're riding on the train today. If you grew up, as we all did, and remember the old conductors on the train that used to say, "All aboard." On the back of the Southern Rail Commission's business card, reflecting that we are of a Southern culture, we changed it slightly. So I have the great privilege to complete this press conference by saying, "Y'all aboard." Thank you very much.